Hey everyone, I am Brady Briggs for another episode of the Combat Logic here, and joining me again is Justice St. Pierre. How are you, Justice? Nice to talk with you again.
Doing good, man. Just been enjoying vacation for the last 3 weeks. Been in Florida and just having a good time.
That's awesome. I'm very jealous of that. Today we'll be talking about TJ Dillashaw's return to the octagon against number 2 ranked Cory Sandhagen. Now, TJ, as everyone knows, has been out since January of 2019 for failing an EPO test. About half a year ago, he was eligible to compete again. About 2 months ago, the fight was supposed to happen, but he got a cut, and it was postponed even longer. Um, what do you think are the tangibles going into this fight for both guys?
With TJ, of course, there's always that question. I've seen a lot of MMA fans really speculate just on has he been taking it his whole career or not. I'm personally a firm believer. The dude took it to just try and make weight. He would have never have made 125 without it. And as far as USADA's tried, they've tried their best basically to exploit him using it more than once, and everything's come back, clean. I just think maybe there's always ring rust as a factor, but TJ's is a big workhorse. He definitely didn't stop, training even if he wasn't fighting.
Yeah.
But Cory right now is just looking unbeatable. I mean, he demolished Frankie and Marlon Moraes. I mean, he's just looking really, really good. So there's always that momentum swing where one's on the up climb, and we don't really know where TJ's at. He
Yeah.
is 35, not out of his prime, but I mean he's starting to hit that twilight of the career type area,
After
and he
two
is
and a half
looking
years.
pretty old.
Yeah. After 2.5 years, yeah, you never know how they're gonna look. And with the whole EPO thing, man, like I was thinking that he was taking it a lot more because I mean Cody Garbrandt before the first fight or their second fight, I don't remember which it was. He called him out for that specific drug. He's like, must be all that EPO going to your head. You can find that tweet anywhere, and that happened well over a year before he popped. But on the contrary, like you just said, you can go back and look at his whole USADA database, and they didn't test for that. That was the first time they started testing for it was when he popped. So then they go back and test all of his old samples for it, and he doesn't have it in it. It's like he may have just taken it to make weight. But with the momentum thing, you're right. It's definitely on Cory's side. He's as on point as anybody right now. His timing is so impeccable. He's got power with his knees, with his kicks, with his punches. He's skinny. You wouldn't think he would, but his timing, he's got these stinging type of punches, not thud type. You know what I mean? Like it just
No, yeah, he always hits you right on the right spot for sure.
Yeah. Um, these two are pretty similar, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, looking at Cory, it's like looking at TJ, but a guy that has like a lot more time on his side.
Mm-hmm.
So we could even see like a better rendition really of Cory in the later years. Right now, I'm still pulling for TJ. The biggest reason why is because a lot of people do forget about his wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's very high level, and I just don't think Sandhagen's is his equal.
It's
And I really feel like as long as TJ's cardio is still there, he's just going to try to make it a very heavy grappling fight.
yeah.
Maybe in the later rounds, if Cory gasses, he'll try striking. But we just don't really know, really what TJ is going to show up. But
Yeah, I
as
agree.
long as he relies on his basically his background roots, which is heavy wrestling, grappling,
Mm-hmm.
I think he could definitely get it done. But if Cory goes out there and starches him, I mean, it'll be big. I don't even care about the layoff. I have TJ as easily a top 3 bantamweight all time.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, no, it'll be impressive if he goes out there and does what he's been doing to everyone else. Who,
Yeah.
those are all equally impressive wins. I mean, even Frankie in his old age to do that to Frankie, I'm probably the biggest fan of Frankie there is, dude. That
Yeah,
was nuts. I mean, nuts.
dude, it was. I mean, with TJ, yes, his wrestling is probably his best bet in this fight because look how Cory just lost his third to last fight. Aljo took him down, took his back, and submitted him. TJ has been working on his grappling a lot. He said that leading up to the first Cody Garbrandt fight. He just hasn't been able to show it off lately. But for what these two have done, TJ Dillashaw took a fight against the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Renan Barão, on short notice. It was like 4 or 5 weeks notice. He takes like 5 years off his life in that fight. Renan Barão was 27. TJ was 28. Like, Barão should have been at his best for 5 more years, like at least. And
no, I agree.
Those 2 fights with TJ, and then the 2 fights with Garbrandt, another bantamweight that could have went down as the best ever, dude. Like, he's got such a wicked amateur boxing background. He's 32-1 as an amateur boxer. He would have went to a D1 school for wrestling if he decided to stay in school. He was getting offers from all sorts of colleges, and yeah, he just looked incredible. But the last time he really used his wrestling effectively was against John Lineker. That's the last time he really tried to use it, though. And then Cory Sandhagen, we're just saying his last 2 fights, he knocked out 6-time World Series of Fighting bantamweight champion, and he knocked out a 4-time UFC lightweight champion. His last 2 fights, got performance of the night in both.
No, absolutely. Cory is just, he's fireworks right now. And I guess I can see why a lot of people have him winning the fight because, especially with momentum, Cory probably feels pretty unbeatable right now. It doesn't really matter who you put in front of him. And I would too. I just think there's going to be a really big factor of, for one, Cory doesn't really know what to expect. Dwayne's a wonderful coach, and he's always mixing things up with TJ. You could see a completely different fighter and in a good aspect. So I'm just really excited. There's a lot of question marks and a lot of anticipation for it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that worries me about TJ in this fight is he's been known to get hit before. Like, he's come back, he's recovered most of the time. And honestly, his only 2 losses where he was finished, he was in trouble in both. They were both early stoppages as far as I'm concerned. His only other 2, to John Dodson and Henry Cejudo, his only other 2 losses are split decisions, both of which could have easily went his way. One of which he
absolutely. And that was,
and the other was to Cruz. He could easily be defeated right now.
Who's easily, basically revered as the best bantamweight ever. And losing to Dodson when he did is no shame. That's when Dodson was, he was looking like a potential champion, honestly. He was
2-time title challenger.
So good.
He just fought the best ever, and that's why he lost those title shots.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I think a lot of people don't even reflect on TJ's record as being all that per se, but he's only losing to the absolute best or best at their time. And even the ones he does sometimes lose, I hear people still argue that he won the Dominic Cruz fight.
And the first with Sun
regularly
avenged.
Absolutely.
But he could easily, like, he's 16-4, honestly. Like, if he didn't get stopped in those 2 losses where he was stopped, if he was able to recover, of course, he wouldn't have lost those fights. But he could easily be 18-2 or 19-1 right now instead of 16-4. Easily.
No, absolutely. And that's why I love the fight game, just because there's always just those really small just moments, chances, and opportunity, whatever it might be, really, that can change the whole outcome or perspective that we look at as a fighter. Whether it be drug, PED use or stepping in at the right time, like Michael Bisping did to get the shot, in the later half of his career. It's definitely a sport of just that small chance or that one moment can really change a lot.
And they're both really good at honing in on those one moments too and getting the finishes. Now Cory's only losses, his first loss was in his 6th fight to Jamal Emmers, someone who's doing well in the UFC right now, in a weight class above, mind you. And then the only other one to Aljamain Sterling, the UFC bantamweight champion, illegitimate champion, but a champion nonetheless.
Yeah, no, he's still, and even if I agree, I don't really agree with the whole outcome of Al being champ, but either or, he's still a great fighter. He's a wrestler. He's got really crisp striking, good reach for the division. So losing to Al is no shame. You know what I mean?
No, it's not at all. We all thought that was going to be a very close fight. It was very surprising to see that go the way it did. That almost makes me want to see the rematch even more than if it was a close fight, to be honest with you, because I want to see what Cory's done to fill the gaps.
No, absolutely. What was that, 2 years ago?
I don't even know if that might have been a year ago. Yeah, it was June last year.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, it wasn't even too long ago. I wouldn't expect Corey to have such vast improvements in a year, but you really never know. I mean, look at Francis Ngannou. He went from
Exactly.
looping wild shots to calm jabs, proper footwork, good
Mm-hmm.
setups in a very
Take
quick
on
amount of
things.
time. No, yeah, I'm scared of that, man. Oh my God,
Oh my
Francis.
God. I think everybody is, man. Not named Derek Lewis.
Yeah, you gotta have love for Derek, man. He's a
Yeah,
crazy guy.
man, he's
So
great. All right. So last segment, who are you picking to win this fight?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go TJ with the decision. I think.
Interesting.
I think he's gonna get a little worked up in the beginning. Maybe have a little bit of not per se ring rust, but just hesitancy. I mean, he's
Get his
even if he
timing back.
hasn't fought or fought Corey, he's definitely seen what
Mhm.
Corey's been doing. If I'm TJ, I would stay patient, wait for the
Yeah.
right shots, grapple heavy, and just make it a chess match. You don't have to go out there and smash the guy after a 2.5 year layoff. I'd just be more focused on winning at
Yeah.
really any cost.
You're gonna have to with Corey because his timing is just too good. You rush in, you're gonna get cracked. Um,
Bad.
I would love. I don't want either guy to lose, to be honest with you. But after 2.5 years away, it's just hard for me to pick TJ against someone like Corey right now. I think Corey's probably gonna knock him out. This might be TJ's first real definitive defeat. That's what I think is gonna happen. But I would love for TJ to win because his whole career is probably gonna be tarnished. He did that to himself. But if he loses this fight, it's going to be worse because people are
And
going to say, oh, he can't do it without them. They're not going to consider how he hasn't fought in forever. And the guy that he's fighting, okay, they both fought that night that TJ fought Cejudo. So since January of 2019, TJ has gone 0-1. Fucking Cory Sandhagen's gone 5-1 since then. That's like, does that remind you of anything? Like Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, for instance? All that time
oh
away
yeah,
was just,
it's amazing what time away can do for some
it
people. I
is.
mean, some like Dominic Cruz, he personally just does not believe in ring rust whatsoever. And then there are people where like Connor, I mean, he's like what one
Four.
in five, 1-4 in his last few
One and five,
bouts.
including the Floyd fight,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, his only win is against Cerrone, which I mean,
is 0-5
he's
and one
like
his
his
last
favorite.
six.
I was about to say, but Cerrone's old and
He is.
he just always had this thing where he just never shows up to the biggest fights.
Yeah, dude, he's probably the best fighter ever to have never won a major or a world title in general. Like,
Definitely in a top three position for sure.
yeah, he was so good, man. He could have beat anyone on any given night. But yeah, he's a very slow starter. Connor's a very fast starter. I think we all kind of realized that. I thought the fight being at 170, it would make a little bit of a difference. I thought Cerrone would be a little tougher there and it'd be harder for Connor to finish him, but nope, not at all.
No, yeah.
But all right, man. I appreciate you for coming on, talking about TJ and Corey with me tomorrow. And we'll get a video for the next card next week.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Have a great rest of your day, Brady.
You too, buddy. Have a good one.
Bye.